Hi there, everybody. I'm here checking in on this amazing full moon in Aries. Just another one of the incredible cosmic alignments that are really shaping how we're experiencing our reality at the moment. And of course, we can never be handing over our personal experiences to something outside of ourselves and saying, oh, this is happening because of that. However, these energies and these frequencies, these cosmic alignments that are happening on a regular basis, and also these fantastic kind of interventions of the best kind that we're receiving at the moment with these incredible solar flares, are creating an environment or an energy or a frequency of energy that we are existing within that is really catapulting us and pushing us towards not only transformation but metamorphosis. And those two things are very, very different indeed. In fact, I was listening to the amazing astrologer Pam Gregory the other day, and she was speaking into this, and it's something that I reflect on myself as well, that there is quite a difference between transformation and transmutation, which is what we've all been moving through, and complete metamorphosis, which means the becoming of something and someone entirely new, which is, I really feel at my deepest core level, is what is happening for us right now, what is happening for humanity. And to go back to that metaphor that we know so well about, the butterfly as it moves through that process, we know that the butterfly, when it goes into that cocoon state, first of all, the caterpillar doesn't even know at that stage that it has the potential to become the exquisite beauty and with effortless flight of the butterfly. It's a creature that's bound to the ground, it's sort of like it doesn't even realize that it has that potential within it. But it, through its synchronistic instinct that is driven by the forces of nature, just as we are, if we realize it or not. I think that's one of the greatest diseases that we have as humans, is that we have become so disconnected from nature. So often we push and shove against rather than being in harmony and balance with, right? When you're in harmony and balance with, it's not that you just go with the flow, it's that you're feeling, listening, and being guided by the impetus, the charm, the synchronicities that are leading you in a direction that is for your highest evolution, for your greatest good, right? So the caterpillar, just by instinct, is naturally following this to the point where it goes into the chrysalis state. And what happens in that state is the caterpillar just doesn't go through a transformation, it goes through a complete metamorphosis, meaning that the old form of the caterpillar on every single level is completely annihilated. It is completely broken down. This is true alchemy. This is where the lead becomes the gold as the caterpillar begins to metamorphose into what we know as the butterfly, of course. And as we know, that struggle process of getting out of the cocoon is as necessary as any other part of the metamorphosis. And that process cannot be helped. If anybody interferes or intervenes with that process, then that caterpillar never realizes itself as a butterfly. Its wings will never develop. It will never be able to fly. So I say this because, again, I know in my deepest heart of hearts and in my deepest truth, and through my experiences, through what I've been shown, through the beings that from beyond the veils, I'm not talking about, we need to also be very careful when we are communicating with, channeling or communing with beings that we may think are from the ascended realms, because they could still be within this 3D matrix on this side of the veil, right? So when we're communing, we're actually always going to source. Whatever name that you want to give it, whatever is coming through for you, if it's a particular star elder being or if it's an angelic being, you want to make sure that that being is from the source. It's not a being that's still within the veil of this 3D matrix, because those beings are trickster beings. So we need to just always be setting the program whenever we're doing anything at all, that we are only communicating with, we are only calling upon, we are only communing with the highest frequencies of love and light or higher, the most ascended beings from the source. You know, we have to be very clear and direct with who we're calling in. So I'm digressing on that, but it's something to be aware of. Why? Because where we're at the moment, psychic senses are opening more than ever. They're opening for people that previously have perhaps not even been able to tap in to their innate gift, which we all have, of either clairvoyance, meaning seeing, clairaudience, which means you hear, clairsentience, we all have that, we feel, and claircognizance means we know. So, you know, most of us have this sense of claircognizance and clairsentience, meaning that we have this knowing, we have this feeling, but it's happening now very quickly that clairaudience and clairvoyance is opening up. So we want to also be mindful about who we are communicating with when we are reaching these realms. So these ascended beings, these angelic masters in these ascended realms, just like we can't help the caterpillar out of the cocoon, because if we cut the chrysalis, the caterpillar never fulfills its destiny as a butterfly, because its wings will never spread and it will die. The same goes for us. So these ascended masters are supporting us in all of the ways that they can, but they also need to allow us, like I said in my last video about leading the horse to water but not making them drink, they need to be able to allow us to own it, to claim it, to move through it for ourselves, so that the full and complete metamorphosis can actually be realized, can actually be completed. So sometimes when you're like, what the fuck? Like, what is this that's going on? And where's God? You know, where's the help? It's like, well, no, God can't intervene, because you need to go through it. We all need to go through it. And the key is to go through it consciously, to go through it with an awareness of what is happening. You know, I said in my last video, and this is really, really powerful energy that is happening at the moment about power, right? About the difference between being empowered and feeling powerful, and using power in a way that is destructive. And we're seeing the polarities of that on the planet at the moment, right? And then this feeling of powerlessness, right? Where you could be feeling, you know, overwhelmed, like what the hell, throwing your hands up, wanting to throw the whole thing in, feeling helpless. And we need to be careful of that too, because that in itself is a victim state, right? It's normal to spin out into those things, but the key to this is to, and what we're being asked to do is to really develop the awareness of self. Watch that mind like a hawk, right? And you may even notice how much easier it is becoming to catch the mind and flip the thought with compassion. I'll give you an example. The other morning I woke up and my mind naturally went into judgment. Small things, you know, I started thinking about situations, what's going on here in Bali, this or that. And I was like, whoa, hang on a second. I have only just opened my eyes, and my mind is naturally being hijacked, literally, by the false matrix, and it is being taken off in a direction to keep me locked in to fear, control, judgment, right? So most of us are programmed for that without even realizing it. Why? Because that is the matrix, that's the field of energy that we have been living in for so long. So the field affects matter. In your body, the field being the field of energy, and ultimately the conscious mind affects what goes on in your body, which is why when we change the way we think, we change the way we feel, we change our experience in our body, right? But this has to be a conscious choice, and it takes discipline. So I caught it fast. I was like, hey, whoa, hang on a second. Look at you going into judgment. What is that? Oh, and I just recognized it, had a giggle about it, forgave my mind, blessed it, and said, that's not the truth of who I am. I'm not in judgment, right? So it's just gently bringing yourself back, gently bringing yourself back, not being hard on yourself. Because here's the thing, if you go into criticism of self, judgment of self, or of the things around you, or of others, then you are feeding the powers that want to keep you stuck in the old way of being, in the old matrix, in the 3D, which is the patriarchal realm that we have been in for many, many cycles and many, many thousands of years, and we are breaking it and we are coming out of it. But what happens as we break it and we come out of it, there is a group of beings that have been controlling this matrix on this planet and are invested, and they are physical and non-physical, and they are invested in keeping us asleep, right? Now, this might be a little bit woo-woo for everybody, so I don't go on about this too much, but here's the thing. Take your mind back to the pandemic, right? And there was all kinds of what people call conspiracy theories and all the things going on. But the one truth of that for me, regardless of what the real truth was, because nobody really, really knows, the one truth is that there are two kind of polarized energies, right? One is invested in the old way of doing things. One is a heavy energy. Let's not judge it, we'll just call it heavy, because energy is energy. One is a heavy energy that keeps this planet locked in war, in fear, in control, in greed, right? That is, you've only got to look at history. This is not woo-woo. Just look back, more than a few thousand years to see that we have just been becoming more and more devolved. Is that a word? Not evolved, we've been going the other way, right? So that in itself was always a part of what was meant to happen, because in that happening, little by little, we got to wake up and realize that we have been trapped and stuck in a dream, that we've been put to sleep, literally. And most traditions, like in the Andean tradition, they talk about this. In pretty much every ancient culture, they talk about this period of time where we were put to sleep. You know, it's, if you look at Greg Braden's work, it's scientifically proven that there was a split, a change in two of our chromosomes. Chromosome 2 and chromosome 7 were altered about 220,000 years ago. So we are not the same humans as what we once were. What happened to those chromosomes? And there is a dormant chromosome that is now starting to wake up. We know scientifically that we are only using 20% of the capacity of our mind, right? What happened to the other 80%? Why? What was it that took us backwards from using that? There's something, and you're, depending on what your belief system is, depending on, it doesn't matter. You're going to know what you know, you're going to think what you think. But the fact is that somewhere along the line, we were put to sleep. And now, en masse, we are waking up. So whatever that energy was, whatever those beings were, whatever was going on that put us to sleep in the first place, why, right? There's a reason. And how are they surviving? How is that energy still allowed or able to be here on this planet? It has to feed on something, right? Everything has to feed on something. It needs food to survive. So what's it living on? It's living on the fear. It's living on the control. It's living on the greed. It's living on the humans walking around in a hazy dream, in an old dream, thinking that this, what we experience on this beautiful, beautiful planet, this amazing planet, this gorgeous paradise planet that we have, that the way that we exist on this planet, and some places of course worse than others, is normal. That's not normal. It was never meant to be like that. We're on a paradise planet, peeps, are we not? I mean, I'm looking out here, I'm seeing oceans, jungle, mountains, sunshine. This is paradise. I see a lot of stuff around here too that I don't like. I see very nasty construction and, you know, things that are of that out of balance matrix. But I also understand that the ramping up of that is happening because it's just like the ego, you know, as we start to wake up, we stop feeding those things because we start to watch our thoughts, we start to watch our emotions, we start to watch our actions and our reactions to each other especially, right? How we're reacting things. Are we meeting something in love or are we meeting something in anger? Because that's a choice and it's not easy. I'm going to give you a story about that in a moment. But every time we break that cycle, even just a little bit, every time we choose to step out of our suffering, we choose to step out of our pain, just put it down. Why not? Just put it down. My brother Luke Cohen posted something the other day, said, the meme said something about some people call it trauma, I call it spicy memories. So maybe you can make light of your trauma. Call it a spicy memory. We all have it. But it's how attached to it do you want to be? I mean, I work in the field of ancestral medicine, right? So I'm seeing people that create so much difficulty and suffering for themselves because the mind does not want to let go of that trauma. Why? Because when we're looping in those stories, not saying your stories aren't important because they've made you who you are now, which is so important. It's epic. You wouldn't be who you are without those traumas, right? Without those spicy memories. But at some point, what you're being asked to do is to put it down, to stop feeding it. Because while you're attached to your pain in the same way that Gollum is like, mine precious, mine, you know, attached to his ring, then you are feeding the forces that are keeping you stuck. You are feeding the beings that are keeping us trapped, and you are feeding the energy that is keeping you stuck in your mind and stuck in your pain, right? So what's the remedy to that? After you decide to put it down, we have to decide. It's got to be a strong decision. It's got to be a choice to see the beauty of this planet, to see the paradise that it is, to see what it is meant to be, to see what we are moving towards. And it makes it even harder to do that when we see all of the stuff going on the planet, right? But all of that is also, it's real, it's happening. I'm not taking away from that in a second, but it's also a smokescreen. What if that stuff is happening to distract you from keeping your heart and keeping your mind focused? Feel the compassion without going into outrage, right? Somebody wrote a comment on my wall and said, what am I meant to just bypass the outrage? No, you feel the outrage. You allow the feeling to be there in the body. You sit with the feeling that is arising. You honor the feeling, the sensations that come with outrage, but you don't give it a story. You don't project it or pin it onto something or someone, because as soon as we start feeling in the body, the spell is broken, my friends. As soon as you own your superpower, which is your feeling to heal, the spell is broken and you're empowered, because that is powerful. To feel your emotions, to feel, well, let's not use the word emotion, but to feel your feelings means that you alchemize them, you transform them, and you go through a metamorphosis. So it's not avoiding, it's not bypassing, it's feeling them without the story, without the projection onto bad, good, right, wrong, right? And through that, we also choose to see the beauty. So I'm going to give you a little example of this. I'm going to share with you a story that I was a little bit unsure about sharing because of the sensitivities around it. So I'm going to try and use words that don't trigger anything in the algorithms get this video taken down. But I had an experience over the last few days where my bank account has been frozen. So I live in Bali, and the way that I am able to live here and access my monies is to transfer it through an online platform from my bank in Australia to my bank in Indonesia. Through that online platform, whose name I shan't mention, I also make all of my payments to everything and everyone, including to my Andean family when I send them money to support them, you know, and often that money is really greatly needed, so it needs to happen when it needs to happen. And all of a sudden, all of my payments got stopped. I couldn't get any money to myself here in Bali, and I was down to my last $20, right? And so now I'm starting to get concerned because, you know, what am I going to do? I've got no monies and I can't get any. So I go in to have a look and I see that my accounts have been frozen. And when I went in to look at my card had also been frozen. I'm like, what the hell is going on here? So I call them and they say, oh, sorry, we can't give you any details over the phone. We'll send you an email. I'm thinking, this is weird. So I go in and basically I've had my accounts frozen because I've been suspected to have, how do I say it without triggering, to have activity that would support a group that would be invested in war. I think we call them terrorists. Somebody had sent me some money for my birthday trip that we're taking on a sailing boat in the Komodo Islands, and it actually had for sailing trip in Komodo Islands written on it, but because of some of the letters in her name, apparently those letters are used within an extreme right-wing group, and those letters can also be rearranged into the name of a country. So here I get this email saying that I'm in breach of international laws and they're investigating me. I was pretty furious, I have to say. Furious because just a bit incredulous that this is happening, right? But I caught myself in that because I got the game. I realized what was going on. And here was something in the 3D matrix, because I keep myself very much outside of it purposefully, right? I don't watch news. I don't watch current affairs. I get all of the information I need about what's happening in the world from sources that I trust. I pick and choose what I'm looking at and where I'm receiving information from, and I am very discerning about how it comes in and who it comes from, right? Someone from the old paradigm, probably my family, some of my family, would tell me I'm irresponsible for that. But I think it's the exact opposite. I am absolutely conscious and I take 110% responsibility for what I allow into my field and for what I allow into my being, right? And I make sure that what I'm receiving is, as far as to the best of my knowledge, is as close to being true and correct information as it possibly can be. So here I was faced with something outside of my control that was very much of the 3D matrix. Meanwhile, I had payments to people that needed money, that I was donating money to, that had all been frozen, that are saying, hey, we need it. I'm like, I can't do anything, this has been frozen. And I had a momentary, what the fuck, like I was really pissed. And then as I said, I pulled myself up and I was like, nah, you're not getting me. I see what this is. And I'm going to take care of this. And thankfully, my friend, I had to go through a whole process of explaining how I knew this person, where I knew her from. I had to have all her documentation, passport, utility bills to prove that she was Australian. Like, I can't even tell you. Absolutely ridiculous. My accounts are still frozen. I still can't access any. Thankfully, my husband, beautiful Lars, put some money into my Indonesian account yesterday so I could able to actually, you know, just do normal life things. But this is the trick. This is the trickster energy that we have to watch for. Because the new way meets these things with a higher perspective. The new way is able to see these things and not get taken out in the outrage, right? Yes, I felt it. Yes, I honored the feelings that were coming up and I allowed myself to feel it. And then I shifted it fast because I was like, okay, I'm done with that. No, you're not catching me in that. I see the game and I'm not playing it. Not going to play it. And so I pulled myself out of that very, very quickly because I am refusing to feed the false matrix. I'm refusing to feed the energies that think that they have control over this planet and over us anymore. What I'm feeding is the true divine matrix, the true nature of this universe, the true nature of this beautiful planet, the true nature of who we are as beautiful human souls. Our true nature is love. Our true nature is not the opposite of that, right? We just have been sidetracked for a little while. But it, as I say, it takes discipline. It's not about woo-woo light work, you know, all of the things. You know, we go into the shadowy places knowing the truth of who we really are, which is light. It doesn't mean to say we're all love and light and unicorns and rainbows. That in itself is a false light grid. That's a false light matrix. That's not true. Not true. Not the truth of who we are either. That's just wishy-washy, right? So my point is that it's up to you. It's up to us, right? You're in the driver's seat, and sometimes it is going to get hard. Sometimes you are going to feel overwhelmed, but everything that's going on at the moment is designed to pop you through. And yes, I'm sure if you take your heart, mind back to the times in your life where you had the biggest expansion, the biggest awakening, the biggest aha moments, before you got to that point, you felt like you were being squeezed within an inch of your life. So that constriction, that contraction creates the pop through, right? Then every time we have that pop through, we reevaluate our agreements with ourselves. We reevaluate how we are thinking, how we are speaking, how we are reacting, how we're living our lives. We don't always get it right, but you can catch yourself faster and faster every time and reprogram it within yourself. But if you're going to continue, if anyone, myself included, if we're going to continue to argue for our limitations, then we're just going to keep getting what we've always got. So it's incremental. There's, you know, there can be giant leaps, and that's happening at the moment too. So you might find within yourself or within someone you know that you go from here and all of a sudden, you know, you might have a family member who's always been like, oh, you're crazy, you know, look at all that woo-woo, to all of a sudden, you know, it's like they're awake. So it can be happening very spontaneously as well, but it is happening. And as I said in one of my last posts, it has been said that by the solstice this year, there will be half of the planet will have remembered to some degree the truth of who they really are, and that's the tipping point that we are all sure is coming and is going to happen. So I hope that is helpful in some way to you, just an encouragement to keep your eye on the prize, to get yourself out in nature. It is the key. The medicine is nature. Whether you can't get there because it's, you know, you're in a city, whatever, and you have to go there through the power of your imagination, fine. Go there through the power of your imagination. It doesn't matter. Your body actually doesn't know any different. It just knows the feeling. So wherever you can be in nature that has you feeling expansive, that has you feeling at peace, that has you feeling grounded, has you feeling centered, if you can, go outside and put your bare feet on the grass. Best thing that you can do for yourself, yeah? because the more connected we are to nature, which is the true matrix, nature is the true frequency, it's the true energy of this planet, it's divinity. That's AI can never match that. AI doesn't have a soul, we do. That's the difference. It can be intelligent, it can have all the answers to all the things, but it doesn't have a soul. That's our divinity as humans, right? So we've got to, in fact, just to finish off, I think this is the positive of AI, is that it will give us, if we feed it the right information, and if we watch the way that we react to it and be conscious about what we feed it, because knowing that what we feed it is the information, we're basically teaching it what information to spit out. So we want to make sure that the right people are feeding it the right information, right? And if we can do that, then the AI can actually free up a lot of our time so that we can reconnect even more deeply to our true nature, to our divinity, and to nature. And then I can feel it as I'm saying it to you. I don't know if you can feel it through my words. You know, the words are just the words. It's the energy that's coming through the words, right? I can feel it. I can see it. Us on this planet just taking a step back, you know, not working so hard, and being in joy, being in ease, being in freedom, in harmony. I even see us not using words anymore and communicating telepathically, which I've been shown many times. And then that's where we're headed. So keep your eye on the prize. Know that my heart and my love is with you. Know that whatever it is you're traversing, you're not alone. And remember that sometimes you're going to be on the crest of the wave, and sometimes you're going to be feeling like you're being dumped, right? We can't be at the same place at the same time, because the ones that are up there on the crest of the wave at the moment, that are flying high, and they're like, woohoo, this is awesome, and they're riding these energies rather than being tumbled about like you're in a washing machine, then it's up to these ones that are up here to reach out a hand and help pull these ones up. Because there's going to be a time when these ones that are in the whitewash are going to be on the crest of the wave, and the ones that are on the crest will be in the whitewash, and they're going to need a hand up, right? That's cooperation. So we can do that for each other, right? So when we've got it, when we've got the juice to share, we share it, and we become the lighthouse for each other. Okay, my loves, enough from me. Thank you, and bye for now.